Hello, I'm Chini, your host and resident poet for Where. I just want us to pass the time together these days, lockdown and or no lockdown. And this time we're going to unlock in our own world creative Africa. Those of you that are interested, stay tuned. Let's talk about the best authors and the best books for people who like to read. Let's also explore the multi-talented world of music in Africa. I think it's Afrobeats, Nollywood as well, homegrown movies. And naturally, we mustn't forget our brilliant poets and spoken word artists. Today, I'm proud to start the presentation off with my multi-talented childhood friend, Lady Dr. Eleanor Ann Wadinobi, Nee Ezebuiro, a medical doctor by profession and anesthetist to be exact. She's also a gender and human rights activist and consultant who sits on the board for quite a few international bodies. She also has a master's in human rights and democratization. She is the current president of Medical Women International Association, MWIA, presiding over women doctors all over the world, even during lockdown. Dr. Eleanor also holds over other impressive positions as president of the Widows Development Organization, medical director of the Tabitha Infirmary Foundation, director of Dawn Functions Nigeria, director of Africa Gender Publications, co-founder of Blossoms of the Vine, founding president, King's Daughters Society of the Anglican Communion, Lady of the Knights of the Good Shepherd Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. Dr. Eleanor is happily married to her Oke Wadinobi, and they have 4 children and 4 grandchildren who lovingly call her Glamma, and you'll know why when you see her. She is beautiful. She is a keen writer and has other published books on gender and health issues. But today, we are focused on this book, Harmful Cultural Practices in the Context of the Right to Health. It's about child witchcraft accusations in Akwa Ibom State of Nigeria, one of the most frightening child abuse practices in the country. There are many things Africa and the rest of the world must not tolerate, and this is one of them. Welcome, Eleanor, to our first lockdown presentation. And I'm thanking you very much for your participation and support. You have the key to unlock us now. What caused you to write a thesis on child rights?
You wanted to know why I decided to write a book on child's rights. Well, by the time I wrote this book 10 years ago, I had been asked by UNICEF to go to Akwa Ibom and to do a scoping and to find out if in reality children were being accused of witchcraft and being harmed and maimed, ostracized from their communities. And when I discovered that indeed this was true, and at that time I had the opportunity to do my Master's in Human Rights, which was quite an odd combination at the time, being a physician I was one of the first from the medical profession to embark on this human rights masters. I decided to look at things through a health lens. And that's how come I then wrote my thesis on harmful cultural practices in the context of the right to health, looking at witchcraft accusations against children. Up until that time, I had spent quite a lot of time. In fact, for 15 years, I had been looking at another type of harmful cultural practice in the southeast of Nigeria, and that was harmful widowhood practices. But I was just so distraught upon seeing how young children were being treated in Akwa Ibom at the time, and decided to take the study further.
What is the root cause of the issue you have raised in your book?
Now, coming to the root causes of the harmful practices perpetrated against children, I would put the deep root cause down to culture, the mid root cause due to greed, and the shallow root cause down to the gullible nature of parents. A situation where a child who is extraordinarily talented or intelligent, or a child who sleepwalks or grinds his or her teeth, or wets the bed or breaks plates, these are things that children do. And you find pastors, trusted religious leaders to whom parents would go, now deciding to falsely accuse these innocent children of being witches, and then requesting money from the parents in order to, quote, exorcise the witchcraft from the child. And with that child ending up being ostracized by the community, harmed by their own parents or guardians. I saw children who had fuel and kerosene poured on their bodies and lit with a flame. I saw children who were hung by their ankles. I saw a young girl in particular who was pushed into hot, boiling palm oil. Who does that to their precious child?
And what has since changed as a result of your research?
I am pleased to say that as a result of this research and the findings and the publishing of the findings as a thesis in the book, quite a lot has changed. One of the things that brings about change is adequate data, research, documentation that is verifiable. And thanks to the research, it was a way of highlighting this most harmful of practices against children in Akwa Ibom at that time. And I am pleased to say that because of the research that highlighted the issue to the world, as well as a scathing documentary by a foreign television station, a law was passed in Akwa Ibom State, the Child's Rights Act, that specifically outlawed the treatment of children in this manner. And what a huge victory for children in Akwa Ibom State.
Interesting. What is the future for children in Nigeria 10 years from now?
In answer to your question regarding the future for children in Nigeria 10 years from now, I have a vision of children in Nigeria having the rights and freedoms and dignity that every child should enjoy. No longer should we have our children on the streets begging. No longer should our children not be protected. No longer should our children not be allowed to enjoy their childhood. You know, in writing this thesis, I had the opportunity of asking Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the Nobel laureate, to make a statement about what was happening. And he made a very simple but profound statement. Every child deserves a home. And that's the simple answer. Every child deserves a home. That home should be a place that is a safe space, where the child can grow up to be her best or his best, to achieve the greatest of potentials, because deposited in every single precious child is the potential to be the best that child can be. And the environment needs to be conducive, and we must leave no child behind, and we must make sure that from the first school, which is in the home, to the school or place of education, that continuum is there, and that we will definitely bring up our children, train them in the way that they should go, so that when they grow up, they will not depart from it.
This is a channel geared towards highlighting creativity in Africa, which includes controversial and societal issues. Right now, the child right is key. The future of the child is key. What recommendations do you have about the improvement of the lot of the child and their position in Africa?
When it comes to recommendations for the future of children in Nigeria, the first thing is, it's great that we have this medium in order to discuss these issues, which must be brought to the fore through whichever avenue is possible. I highly recommend that we have an all of government and all of society approach. Let us begin to recognize that every child is fearfully and wonderfully made. Let's protect every single child. Let's provide an enabling environment for our children to be nurtured Let us have a conducive learning environment. Let us ensure that education, which is that key that opens the door of endless opportunities, just as the female traditional leader, the Omu, said, it is that key that opens up endless opportunities, that we have dedicated funding for education, that we prioritize education, because if we do not invest in our children, who are the now of Nigeria, then we will be lost for generations to come.
I can't say it enough, Eleanor. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence and your views and contributions of your enlightening and eye-opening book. The second edition of which we're expecting very soon, online and on store bookshelves. I'm very sure there are readers and researchers waiting to go through this as soon as they hear about it. Thank you. That was Eleanor. I want to highlight Chinua Achebe this session as one of the greatest African writers ever, with an extract from his book Things Fall Apart, best-selling of all time, resoundingly read by Tanzanian filmmaker Lucian Msamati.
It is already too late, said Oberika sadly. Our own men and our sons have joined the ranks of the stranger. They have joined his religion, and they help to uphold his government. If we should try to drive out the white men in Umuofia, we should find it easy. There are only 2 of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, I told you on my last visit to Mbanta how they hanged Aneto. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute? Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land? How can he, when he does not even speak our tongue? But he says that our customs are bad, and our own brothers who have taken up his religion also say that our customs are bad. How do you think we can fight when our own brothers have turned against us? The white man is very clever. He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart.
I'm going to count down the latest bestseller top 10 books in Nigeria that was compiled by The Guardian UK. Number 10, Open City by Teju Cole. Number 9, The Secret Lives of Baba Shegi's Wife by Lola Shonei. Number 8, Ake by Wole Soyinka. Number 7, My Nigeria by Peter Cunliffe Jones. Number 6, Looking for Trans Wonderland, Travels in Nigeria by Nu Sarawiwa. Number 5, Soza Boy by Ken Sarawiwa. Number 4, Half a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Number 3, The Nigerian Civil War by John de Saint-Georges. Number 2, The Trouble with Nigeria by Chinua Achebe. And number 1, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. As a young man, Chinua Achebe read many books, Western books, just like a lot of us did, and he could not find much about his own people, if any, so he decided to write his own saga, a tragic tale about a young man from his part of the world who was flawed, arrogant, and vulnerable, and in a society where he could not cope with the military superiority and arrogance of the white invader. Millions of readers around the world could not help but identify with what Chinua Achebe was trying to say, colonialism and the invasion of the white man and the changes that they brought with them. When the white man invaded their own societies and brought colonialism, destruction, and changes, they destabilized nations, in particular Nigeria, who have never since recovered, as a British invention that they are. So, next time, I think I'm going to introduce my top 5 favorite music, Afrobeats. There's a lot of wonderful thing going on in the Nigerian atmosphere, creative art and music. I think you should do the same too, just for fun. Pick all your top 5 favorite creative songs and movies and books out there. You'll get a lot of satisfaction from doing that, and you can join us. We'll start a competition in that regard. Anyway, right now I'm going to introduce a wonderful young lady called Patience Pam, who is a written word artist and a lovely poet. She's written a very appropriate poem called Contagious. Now watch this presentation.
Fame becoming flames. Power shrinking without favors. Terrorism sinking in the bid to be safe from a virus. The world is gradually shortened down before our eyes. Fears are rising, tears are pouring, panics and comics. Yet our smiles come with a little pain and fear. We still left ones in pain, yet we can't touch them. It took a virus to make us understand there is just one race, the human race. Now we remember we should have raised more glasses up and not break them up. A virus slowly uniting the world. We will learn to laugh more, care more, give more, and love more. Because in the end, it is just humanity against the earth, a virus, and the world. Contagious.
That was beautiful stuff by Patience Pam. The young lady I met at a women's event, she stood up and she gave us a stunning presentation, and I'm sure there's many more to come. Look out for her. I promised myself I was going to introduce one of my poems every week from my upcoming book, Like Father, Like Daughter. 2020 that I've been looking forward to turned out to be full of terrible surprises and a murderous racism. Anyway, the poem I'm going to introduce is called Under House Arrest. Look at it, listen. Under house arrest, I've been detained by aliens, invisible to plain vision, yet dangerous and deadly, enclosed in a comfortable prison. Attempts to escape not friendly. Armed guards all over, the aliens have employed them, human beings on their payrolls, organizations as security outfits, calling themselves disease control. Scientists to do experiments, masses of human guinea pigs, rounded up in secret locations, tests and treatment in isolation, escapees chased down and executed for disobeying, not being permitted. Don't go anywhere or do anything while governments are being replaced, policies are being changed, humans are being rescheduled within borders from place to place. The dead are being buried in mass graves and in secrets, incinerated and ashes scattered, aliens spreading the world over, constant warning of changing times, a sudden new fashionable trend, masks, gloves, shields, the new look, time to awake from this nightmare. Enough is enough could write a book. My imagination running haywire. Aliens, disease, house arrest. No. Next time, I shall introduce our author, Regina Amadi Njoku, co-author of the book, 3 Leadership Journeys, 1 Story. See you next week.